Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Happy Saturday evening to everyone. So, a little bit of a disappointing day today for me because Manchester City did not win against Manchester United. But we have to let them win every now and again because otherwise they get all bitter, those Manchester United fans. So, I think we probably let them win. Anyway, so I'm having a little bit of a commiseration beer. It's not a celebration, it's commiseration tonight. But anyway, we'll survive. We're still champions for is it the fourth year running? So it's not been that bad a season. But anyway, I hope good morning, good evening. No, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending what it is where you are. I hope you've all had a good day, good afternoon, or a good evening. I've had a lovely day, apart from Manchester City losing, of course. I've had a very nice day. As I say, I went round to a friend's who's got a pool, so I've had a swim, got quite a lot of sun, a couple of hours sun. So, I'm a little bit pink, but anyway. What else have I done today? Not much, just a nice lunch, nice swim, nice chat. And I thought I'd come on tonight and do a live about this. So I'm sort of fascinated with this Pastor John Paul. What is a pastor in America? Who can be a pastor? Do you have to be qualified? Who decides? Suddenly these people, they're there at these churches, reading out the scriptures and telling people what to do with their lives. Who are they and who gives them the right to do that? So I got a little bit into, I was thinking about that and I thought I'm going to have a little look into that. So the first, so if I hold up a cross or put it around me, does that make me a pastor, or do I have to do an exam, or do I have to do, what do I have to do? Or maybe I should become a pastor and start doing online services. It's just occurred to me, who decided he was a pastor anyway, telling everybody how to live their lives? So I'm going to light the candle first of all, and I'm going to light the candle for Micah, of course. Also today for Manchester City. No, sorry, I shouldn't take it. All Manchester City fans that will be feeling a little bit down today. It's only football, but really it's for Micah, of course, and people who are feeling lost. Oh God, I can't even get it to go on. What's going on? People who are feeling lost in any way. Oh gosh, but the fates are conspiring against me there. For Micah. So it does seem that, you'll see from the things I'm going to tell you about that I've found tonight. I don't think the police are taking this case any further. Not as a case of unlawful death or etc. So it's a question of whether the family, they're toying with the idea. Do they take it further? Do they take out some sort of action against John Paul, against Pastor John Paul, or not? That's their decision to make. He's made their life very difficult. He's still making their life difficult. He's still trying to control Micah from beyond the grave because he's trying to control her estate because they weren't divorced yet. He's trying to claim sort of husband's rights, even though they were separated, and he treated her terribly. So, I think we can agree. He's not a very nice man, is he? He's just not a very nice man. So it's nothing like you would expect a pastor to be, because I would think that the first basic requirement of being a pastor or any kind of, religious leader, if you like, or religious mentor would be being a nice person. But of course it isn't, is it? We've seen that so many times before. We're seeing it now in the UK with the post office scandal. That awful woman who was in charge of everything, she's a part-time vicar. I need to do a video about that one day, because every day when I watch a little bit about that, I'm just outraged a little bit more about that woman, Paula, isn't it? The way she treated the post office staff. But anyway, that's for another video. So tonight we're going to talk about Micah and what makes a pastor. What gave him the right to be a pastor in the first place? So I'm just going to say hello to everybody who's here, first of all. Hi, David. Hi, Simon. Hi, Maggie. Oh, you were missing me this evening. Oh, that's nice. Oh, I'm glad I came on then. Have you got a vino? I've got a Cerveza, a beer. You can't win them all, David. You certainly can't win them all. Listen, I'm a City fan. I've been a City fan all my life, and there was a long time we weren't winning anything. So I'm grateful for anything now. I still remember those times where we lost everything, went down division after division, and now we're in a different phase in the club's life, and I'm glad I got to see it while I was still alive. Yeah, the pasta, Maggie. The pasta, what is it, the giant prick pasta. Sounds like a meal that should be on an Italian restaurant, doesn't it? Yeah, yeah. I like this cross actually. You know, but it's in my dressing up box. Get thee behind me, Satan. Get thee behind me, Satan. But yeah, I'm a pastor now. Look, I've got a cross. I'm a pastor. I've got the cross here. I'm just a pastor. Cheesy pasta. Hi, Daniel. Maggie's got a vino. Okay, so let's have a look. What is a pasta? It just intrigues me. Who this guy is there on, because it's back up. The Solid Rock website is back up. Let's have a look at it. Solid Rock Church it is. Yeah, Bernard Manning. God, you're going back a bit. Oh, that's something to watch. So today, to cheer me up, you know what I watched on the telly earlier? I watched Morecambe and Wise. And you know, I was laughing all the way through. It's so funny. You know, that 40 years old. These episodes were 40 years old. And but they've been, you know, the colour's been put back in them, and you know, I mean, they were colour, but the videos have been retouched and everything to look better. I don't know if any of you saw it, but you know, I just forgotten how funny they were. But it's such innocent humour. Like, they don't insult anybody. They're not nasty about, you know, they're not aggressive. It's just such simple humour. And when they're in bed together, it was just so innocent, wasn't it? Never thought of it as anything odd, you know, two grown men in bed together. It wasn't a sexual thing. It wasn't anything, you know. Hi, Mello. There was no, you know, whereas Bernard Manning, I've got to be honest, he wasn't Michael, but he's nasty, racist, everything really. But Morecambe and Wise, there weren't any of that, were they? They were innocent. It was the most, you know, just silly things that, but were so funny. I was just laughing my head off. It was so funny. I wish I could play them, because they'll be copyright, obviously. But some of them, I'd love to watch them with you, you know, and just see how funny just a simple thing could be, and just the way they bounced off each other. And those, I say, those scenes in bed together, it was just hilarious, you know, just hilarious. So anyway, they're still my favourites, and I thought, God, they're still the best thing that's on every Christmas, even after all these years. And nothing's replaced it, has it? Where, God, we used to look forward every year to, you know, the Morecambe and Wise show at Christmas. I don't think anything's really replaced that, has it? You know, there's nothing that you think, oh, that's really good. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, it cheered me up after City losing. So let's have a look at this twonk. Yeah, so it's back up, you know, because for a while, the Solid Rock Church. Oh, just let me remind people who might not know what we're talking about. So we're talking about this lady. Let me put a picture of her up. Lovely Micah, who unfortunately took her own life. But then it transpires she was only 30 years old. She was married to Pastor John Paul Miller. And then it transpires that for the last 2 years of her life, he made her life a misery because she wanted to leave him. He put tracking devices on her car. He slashed her tyres. He threatened, he did put nude pictures of her up on Facebook to shame her, to embarrass her. Told the church congregation bad things about her. He had her sectioned. He then took over her social media and sent emails pretending they were from her, and etc. So this guy, this John Paul Miller, there's no other way of looking at it. He is a complete and absolute horror. And there's so many things coming out about him. You know, he made her have a boob job. He gave her testosterone, apparently, or to try and improve her libido. And she actually said in one of her own social media posts that from the day they got married, bearing in mind that he'd groomed her from when she was a little girl, an early teenager. She was a babysitter for his kids. He'd groomed her, and really, she said herself that he had abused her in every way that you could possibly abuse someone. So there you go. That was what Micah said about him. But then when she died, he was up there at the church, giving a eulogy, memorial service, saying she was this fantastic wife and blah, 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 blah. And then it turns out they'd been actually separated for ages, and she was complaining about him to everyone. So there you go. But it does look like, well, certainly the police are not taking the Micah's case any further. And as much as people sort of almost want to believe that he actually killed her, and in my eyes, he did kill her, but he killed her, in slow motion, as I call it, murder in slow motion. There's more ways of murdering someone than actually pulling the trigger yourself. Just drive somebody absolutely crazy. A person like Micah, she was too sensitive. When I say she wasn't too sensitive, she was just too good for him and too nice for him. She couldn't cope with him. So let's have a look at the website, which, as I say, it went down, didn't it? The website went down when it all first happened. The church probably wondering what to do, because he's the leader at this church. So this is the Solid Rock Church at Market Common. So how did Solid Rock begin? Pastor John Paul, so they're always calling him Pastor John Paul, aren't they? Just let me make sure I haven't missed anyone coming in. Maggie's dog's just growled at him at the TV. I'm not surprised. Yeah, she does look like Anna. Her and Anna do look alike, don't they? So Pastor John Paul took his first Bible class when he was 10 years old with his nana. Does that qualify you to be a pastor then? His mother's mother. It was an adult Bible college class on homiletics, the art of preaching and writing sermons. After he finished high school in 1997, he enrolled at Horry Georgetown Technical College. because standing up in front of a crowd always interested him. He took public speaking as an elective course. PJP holds several Bible school degrees and is currently continuing his education at a local Bible college as well as Horry Georgetown Technical College. Pastor John Paul spent most of his childhood and teenage years playing the piano in churches and ministries in Florence. I think that's the only good thing you could say about him. He does play the piano well. And all over the Myrtle Beach area. PJP worked in churches ranging from Methodist, Church of God, Baptist, Charismatic, Episcopal, Catholic, Lutheran, etc. Yeah, he covers all his bases. Because he wanted to spend his life as a musician, he studied music for a short time at Coastal Carolina University, but God had other plans. In 2006, PJP stepped out in faith and started a church. So when did he do his degree to become a pastor? Oh, here's Riley. Here's Riley. Hello. Let's see if you can see him. You know he likes to get on the camera. You like to get on the camera, don't you? You like to get the camera. But, you know, I am doing a live. I have got to talk. Let's go on. Are you getting down? Get down. Get down. He's reluctantly getting down. All right. Got a floss where I was reading now. There it is. So he stepped out in faith and started a church. You can just start a church, apparently. Solid Rock Ministries in the Socastee Library. So he started a church in a library. From the library, the church moved into a storefront building on Forest Brook Road. In 2009, due to the growth of the congregation, the church moved to a second largest storefront on Forest Brook Road. In 2013, the church purchased the former Air Force Base chapel. So where did he get the money from, I wonder, to buy that? From his tithing. In 2016, PJP, was it PJP? So past the giant prick, that stands for, started Solid Rock at Market Comment. And since then, life has been great. How is Solid Rock governed? Our congregation, we believe in New Testament church government as evidenced in Acts 15, 1-35. In this council, one can note that the leadership made the ministry decision and the people were informed afterward. Yeah, I bet. This is the pattern all through the Bible. And in the first 1500 years of church history, it's still the pattern in most churches today, Christian churches today. There may be a meeting of the entire body called by the leadership in times of great decisions or crisis, but the general governmental decisions of the ministry are made by the pastor. Yeah, he's in charge, with encouragement from the board of trustees and advice from the leadership of the church, the deacons, deaconesses, and elders. So Solid Rock is incorporated with the state of South Carolina as a non-profit church organization. The laws of SC in the US require that legal entities like Solid Rock have at least 2 trustees or more to incorporate. The function of the trustee board is to guarantee that the corporation maintains its non-profit status and functions at all levels. Well, it's not non-profit because, you know, he's a very wealthy man, isn't he? In a legal and proper manner. No property of anything of consequence can be bought or sold without the permission of the trustees. The Board of Trustees gives approval to the annual financial budget of the ministry. Right, now if we just look what this says here. Ephesians 1:20-23 makes it clear that Jesus Christ is the head of the church, and he appoints those to represent him in the government of the church, starting with the pastor or founding apostle. Jesus entrusts the pastor with the vision for the church and entrusts the leaders and members of that church to follow the word of God and fulfill the vision of that particular local church. So it goes on now to talk about the elders of the church. I mean, this is proper word salad, isn't it? So an elder in the church, not by age, was someone who was appointed and recognised as having a ministry gift from the fivefold ministry gift. The elders of our church are those recognised and ordained as prophets, apostles, pastors, evangelists, or teachers. The elders of Solid Rock must be recognised by the pastor, board of trustees, and deacons of the church. Without that recognition, they do not have authority as an ordained elder in our local church. Then it goes on to describe deacons and deaconesses. It says at Solid Rock, we use the word leader in place of deacon. All our deacons and deaconesses are members of Solid Rock who live out our 4 core values. What are the 4 core values? I think that's what he has up on the stage, isn't it? He has those 4 principles up on the stage. Biblically, since some deacons and deaconesses ministered in the word and in service, today we have what is known as licensing and ordination. A person can be licensed to legally minister as one of the fivefold ministry gifts while serving under the covering of an ordained ministry. They're just making it up as they go along, aren't they? When they are recognised as a full-time minister with a particular gift, they are ordained. How is Solid Rock financed? If you have ever attended one of our services, I'm sure you noted we do not pass a collection plate or an offering basket. We have offering boxes that are located around our church for the members of Solid Rock to freely tithe and give offerings. This allows people to determine whether they want to honour God's word. Just makes me laugh because it's like, yeah, you decide, do you want to honour God's word or not? You know, so if you don't give money, you're not honouring God's word. So obviously everyone's going to give some money. And our core value of tithing without being forced or coerced in any way, even though it's an obvious fact that our collections would be much larger if we passed an offering plate. We don't want to be another church known for begging and offering out of people and constantly involving them in what we want and need. We believe God will provide, and he will use people with a pure heart to give to his kingdom. Oh my God. So the thing is, yes, you know, people want to give, but you know, at the end of the day, you don't want to give to John Paul to buy his drugs. And I mean, you know, oh God. Anyway, like most churches, there are 3 parts to our outgoing finances: missions, ministry, employees, and building maintenance. So a third of their finances are used for ministry purposes: mission, international missions, national missions, local missions, church family needs, benevolence ministry, financial counselling ministry, widow ministry, blah de blah de blah. Drugs, he hasn't put drugs on there, but you know, yeah, drugs too. Cars, and they've got a private plane, I think. You know, they've got quite a lot of things. And then another third is used for employment purposes, such as pastors, administrator, children's church teachers. I wonder what his salary was. nursery staff, cleaning staff, technology, media, and as needed employees such as music ministry, bookkeepers, counsellors, etc. And then the other third is used for building maintenance, inside and outside renovation, electric, water, trash, insurance, mortgage, landscaping, plumbing, painting, flooring, etc., etc. Okay, then it goes on. I don't think I'm going to read all that, but what does it say? Membership process, short groups. God, yeah, it goes on and on and on. But anyway, it is back up now. So if you wanted to read the whole website, you can do. I just really wanted to read about him. But what's interesting is, so they've still got the podcasts up on here. If you go into the podcasts, look, they're all him. This perfect gifts for imperfect. I'm not playing any of his sermons. I can't even stand to listen to him. He's got the most irritating voice. How people can stand to listen to him, I don't know. And then give him money for speaking. And he talks a load of crap as well. So put all that together, and basically I don't want to listen to any of it. But if you want to listen to any of his sermons, there they are. They're all there on the website in his podcast. There's also, of course, a YouTube channel, which we're going to look at as well. So before we look at that, let's look at what a pastor is supposed to be. So I tried to find out how you become a pastor. So according to this website, let me put it up, the Christian Ministry, according to the Christian Ministry, these are the 6 steps to become a pastor. Six steps how to become a pastor. So if you're thinking of becoming a pastor, this is what you need to do, apparently. Not that he did any of this, but this is what you're supposed to do. The dogs have started fighting. Hey. Wow. They're getting all giddy. It's fine. It's cooling down a little bit, so they're going to have to probably start fighting now. You know, play fighting. There you go. Thank you, Riley. Thank you. They're fighting on the sofa. So if you want to become a pastor, this is your 6 step-by-step guide. Many underestimate the arduous process and steps of becoming a pastor. Faith is a bedrock requirement. So, yeah, first thing you've got to do is believe in God, I suppose. But so is hard work. Feeling a call to ministry, as many do, is really only the beginning. So this journey, according to this website, requires both unwavering faith and a tireless work ethic. See, I'm having to talk over the dogs fighting on the sofa. Aspiring... Stop! Rocky's lying upside down on the sofa like that. He just looked at me. What? We're just playing. So the journey requires both unwavering faith and a tireless work ethic. Aspiring pastors often wonder about the steps to become a pastor, the qualifications required, and how to become a preacher or an ordained minister. It's not a one-size-fits-all process. The pathway varies across different Christian denominations. You know, I'm just thinking how, you know all the time I've been following true crime, so many pastors, you know, that I've watched, crime videos about, who kill their wives or do bad things, loads of them. And I've often thought, how do you even become a pastor? I mean, if you turned up like at a church, you know, if you and said you were a pastor, you know, if you went, because of course you can move from state to state, you know, so if you just turned up in a state and you bought a church or you started a church, rented a church, and said you were a pastor, how many people would actually look into someone's background enough? I mean, look at his background. You know, he tried to kill his first wife, wasn't it, with it by running her over. You know, who looked into his background? Who checked his credentials before they decided he could be a pastor? You know, or do people just go along and accept, you know, oh, he's the pastor because that's what it says above the door at the church, you know, Pastor John Paul. Do they never question it? You know, because it's not even like being a priest, is it? Because if you're a priest, you know that people have to go through preschool or whatever. You know, they have to go through a process to become a priest. But what do you need to become a pastor? Anyway, aspiring pastor. Oh, so I've read that. So humility defines pastoral roles. It's a position of seemingly endless service. As a pastor, you are a tool of communication and redemption, a servant in word and deed. Self-glorification is not in the job description of a pastor, and it's not in the nature of the best ministers. So apparently you can explore a Christian ministry degree. That's probably what they're selling on this website. So questions about biblical and doctrinal knowledge, what a pastor degree entails, minister licenses. So I would imagine you have to have a license, and the specific qualifications needed to become a pastor are common amongst those pursuing this vocation. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of nice pastors out there, actually. I just need to say that because I feel like I'm being harsh. You know, I expect these thousands of very genuine pastors out there, that someone like John Paul, he brings them a bad name, doesn't he? You know, it's like the police, you know, you get one bad policeman, and really probably for every one bad policeman, there's probably a load of really good, dedicated policemen. Same with politicians, believe it or not. There are, you know, there's a lot of politicians out there in the UK, for example, or anywhere, and not all of them are self-serving. And, you know, a lot of them did go into politics because they wanted to make things better for their area or for their, you know, so. But of course, these bad ones stick out, don't they? And we notice them, and they give all the others a bad name. So it says, understanding the path to becoming a pastor is crucial for those answering the call to ministry. Some of the highest standards are required of pastors in both matters of spirit and intellect. So he's already failing, isn't he? Hi, Chumba. He's already failed on all these qualifications in my eyes. The road you will follow as you take steps to learn how to become a pastor will offer both great challenges and great joy. But with the right mentorship and education, you can fulfill your potential with a congregation of your own. Steps to become a pastor. So the work of a Christian pastor requires years of both spiritual and secular preparation. Then apparently you can go and see the Christian ministry colleges in the different states. Learning how to become a pastor will take you on a 6-step personal journey through knowledge and spirituality. I quite fancy being a pastor, actually. You know, a nice one. Because I do, you know, do believe in God, and I do believe in all those things, but, you know, I don't know. The trouble is you'll always get someone like John Paul and people like Jim Jones, like these religious leaders. Now, Jim Jones, he's an interesting one because I think genuinely he did start off with good intentions, but he just got caught in his own, you know, he got caught in his own sort of success in a way. He started to believe, you know, that he was some sort of prophet or whatever. He sort of started off, I think, as I say, with good intentions. He was against racism at a time when there was, you know, a lot of racism in the United States, you know, in the sort of 80s, etc., or earlier. I can't remember the exact years, but, you know, what I think, you know, from what I've read about him, he did start off with good intention, and he just lost it, and he started taking drugs as well. So he was, you know, he started sort of believing his own propaganda, really, and really believing he was something almost like, you know, God's representative on earth, like, you know, a second coming of some kind. But sometimes people do start off with good intentions and then things happen, don't they? Especially when drugs are involved. So these are the things that this website says you have to do. Volunteer for service in your church. Get a complete education in religion and pastoral studies. I don't think John Paul has done any of these things. Meet your denomination's qualifications for becoming ordained. Take and pass your ordination examination. So had John Paul taken his ordination examination? Had he, and the next one, become ordained or licensed as a pastor in your faith? Had he become ordained or licensed? You know, do people ask to see your license if you want to be a pastor, or can you just by church say you're a pastor and then take it from there? And then get hired as a pastor for a church or another organization. You can become a pastor without a church if you're moved to service in other organizations. Yeah. So the work of a Christian pastor requires years of both spiritual and secular preparation. The word pastor means shepherd in Latin. Shepherding offers exactly the right metaphor for the job, and it's one drawn straight from the Bible. Be shepherds of God's flock that is under your care, watching over them, not because you must, but because you are willing, as God wants you to be, not pursuing dishonest gain, but eager to serve. Well, there you go. Not pursuing dishonest gain, but eager to serve, not lording it over those entrusted to you, but being examples to the flock. Well, he's not exactly a good example, is it? So anyway, it says here, how long does it take to become a pastor? Well, he seemed to do it instantly, didn't he? I mean, how long does it take? Let's have a look. See if I can find it without having to read out the whole thing. Oh, I didn't realise. So Martin Luther King was a pastor. So as perhaps most influential and respected pastor of the 20th century in the United States, Martin Luther King Jr.'s path to the ministry as well, no? Oh. So did he? Well, see, he actually went to university and he graduated with a Bachelor of Divinity and received a PhD from Boston University. And yeah, well, there you go. Then he did and I don't think John Paul has done a degree in anything. I don't think so. I'd be interested to know. So that's what it says on there that you need to do to become a pastor. Now, on the website, this is what they say about him. They've got a description of all their leaders, and I just want to show you what they say about him. So, Pastor John Paul Miller spent his teenage years playing the piano in churches as well as nightclubs. He thought church was for fake people who were one way in public and another way behind closed doors. Well, yeah, that would be you. That would be you, John Paul. One day in his mid-20s, he gave his life to Jesus Christ. Okay, 2006, he stepped out in faith and started his own church. So when did he do his degree in divinity or whatever? His first sermon was 6 minutes long because he only knew one scripture. His first congregation was his family, a few friends, and several former drug-related acquaintances. So he did have a past, didn't he, with drugs? Well, the thing is, in a lot of his sermons, he's doing quite a lot of sniffing. So I don't know if he's still sort of dabbling with the old devil's dandruff. I don't know, but so it seems like he's got a past, which is fair enough. Everyone's got a past, and he's open about it. So, Pastor John Paul, PJP, has been involved in the music department of churches all across the Grandstand area before starting his new church, Solid Rock, at Market Common, where he has pastored. I didn't know it was a verb as well as a noun, where he has pastored since 2016. He has 5 children. Logan, who is married to his wife, Madison. Is that the one that has been, is that the child that hasn't he committed domestic violence towards his wife? Zachary, Eli, Asher and Selah. And PJP and his wife, Micah, so they haven't changed this yet, have a heart to love God and love people. The welcoming, real and approachable attitude is what has won the hearts of everyone who attends Solid Rock at Market Common. So I would imagine that Micah, she would be a perfect wife for a pastor, wouldn't she? Because she's got that, you know, she's sort of, she's entranced us and we don't know her, you know, but we all feel for her, you know, we can see because of the social media posts and videos that she made that we've watched with all our hearts has gone out to Micah. So I would imagine Micah went down very well as a pastor's wife, as well as she could sing, and you know, she had just this lovely way about her. So yeah, but so that's still on the website. Well, Micah and John, they've not been together for ages, so it's never been changed. You know, do you think he even told the congregation that they were having problems? You know, I know he told them that she was having mental health issues, but did he actually tell them that they weren't together anymore? You know, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? Still there on the website, even now. But, you know, hi, Queen Kate. Hi, Kelly. Yeah, JP Davis says, JP got his degree from Exchange of Mars. Yeah. I think the ink was still wet on it, David. I think that's where he got his degree, and the ink's still wet on it. What an awful man. I mean, he really is. And the fact that he's still got her on his, you know, still got her on the website. It's bad, isn't it? You know, I bet her family must be so upset. I mean, you'd be going mad, wouldn't you? You know, that he's still going round like as if he's still, you know, as if he's he is still a husband in legally. That's the whole problem, is the divorce never, you know, hadn't come through. But he's sort of marching around as if he's got the rights over Micah's memory, as if they were still together, you know, when they weren't still together. That must be so galling, you know, for the family, mustn't it? Must be so annoying. Anyway, so yeah, there's a big problem because, well, let me show you this that I found. There's a big problem because of the fact that they are still married. So we're going to look at the Christian Post, what they've got to say about it. So this was on Tuesday, this article. Documents show Church of Micah Miller's husband owns a $430,000 plane and millions in assets as the family mulls over a lawsuit. So this is what her family have got to decide whether they're going to sue him or not for unlawful death. So this was the no, that's him pretending to cry at the memorial service. So, gosh, so Pastor John Paul Miller of Solid Rock at Market Common in Myrtle Beach wipes away tears as he eulogizes his late wife Micah Miller on the 5th of May. Now, we watched that memorial service in another video. Her family weren't even invited to that, were they? They had their own memorial service at the same time on the beach, but they weren't invited to that one. How dare he? How dare he? You know, when they weren't even together. Anyway, as the family of Micah Miller, the wife of Pastor John Paul Miller of Solid Rock at Market Common in Myrtle Beach, mull over a wrongful death lawsuit. I hope they do take out. I mean, the thing is, I've got to be careful because I suppose if they don't win it, they've got to pay, haven't they? So, you know, and it'd be expensive. I think they've got a GoFundMe going, I think. So as they're thinking about that, a new report shows the church owns millions in assets, including a private aircraft estimated to worth around $430,000. You know, I tell you what, he's good at what he does because he gets money out of people, that's for sure. So apparently only about 30 people showed up for worship service at the embattled church last weekend. Well, do you know what? I'm surprised even 30 people turned up. So did he do the service, I wonder? So 30 people turned up last weekend. So yeah, it would still be so this was Tuesday, this article. So be interesting to see how many people turn up this weekend. The Daily Mail reports that the church still has some $5.9 million in assets, including four properties, and a 2007 Cessna SR-22 purchased in July 2023. So, you know, of course, all the arguments were about money, weren't they? You know, he didn't want to give her any money. Well, he wanted her to come back to him. I think basically what he wanted Micah and to live whatever life he wanted to as well. He wanted everything. So local investigators in North Carolina have ruled that the mentally troubled 30-year-old pastor's wife died by suicide after she was found with a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head at Lumber River State Park in Robeson County on April the 27th. But her family has alleged that Pastor Miller's abusive conduct likely contributed to her death. 100% it did. Of course it did. Really, someone, you know, really would Micah have ever done that if she didn't have him? You know, not just, you know, not giving her a chance to move on, not giving her a chance and embarrassing her and, you know, sectioning her and all the things he did to her. Of course it will have had an effect on her. I hope they do sue him. I really hope they do. I know it's difficult, but I hope they do. They maintain that this abuse pushed her over the edge as she sought to escape their marriage. He wouldn't let her go. I think Micah just in the end, she just gave up. She realised he was never going to let her go. He was never going to let her be happy. Now they're exploring a wrongful death lawsuit, according to the family's attorney, Regina Ward, but the pastor has denied abusing his wife, which of course he will. But he can't deny it because there is proof. You know, there's videos, there's the tracking devices, there's the police complaints. I mean, there are records of his abuse. So Regina Ward said, I've actually been retained to look into that. Ward told the Post and Courier. It would take a lot to put that together, but there's certainly intentional infliction of emotional distress everywhere. So Regina, who had represented Micah in her bid to separate from her husband before her death, is now trying to help her family get custody of her marital property. But Pastor Miller is fighting that push. So the thing is, he's been horrible to her family as well. So, you know, he's not even respecting their grief, you know, or he's just trying to make out he's done nothing wrong. He's an awful person because he's not only now they've lost Micah, he's like rubbing salt in the wound as well. Because it's all about money, isn't it? It's all about money, you know. Anyway, in a May 7 filing on behalf of Micah Miller's younger sister, Sierra Francis, Regina Ward asked for the vehicles that Micah Miller normally drove, her firearms and her electronics. Her family also seeking a restraining order against Pastor Miller to keep him from harassing them or releasing any provocative photos of his late wife. Surely to God, he would not do that. Please, God. So if he's got photos of Micah, you know, provocative photos, which, you know, couples do have, don't they? Is he really threatening to release them? He probably would release them for money, because if somebody would pay him to release those provocative photos, he would take the money. He'd do anything for money. This is the pastor, the man of God. But he's already released some photos. He left some up, didn't he, on social media for a day or something, or an hour or whatever it was. Oh, God, this man. How would you even think about that? Making money out of your dead wife by releasing provocative photos. Anyway, the family also wants Pastor Miller to pay for a forensic accountant evaluation. I'm not sure what that is. Oh, is that like to work out their assets, etc.? So Francis accused, that's Micah's sister. Wish they wouldn't just use surnames. What's her first name? Sierra. So Sierra Francis accused Pastor Miller and Solid Rock of colluding to defraud and deprive Micah Miller of her fair share of their marital home after he sold it to the church. According to the Daily Mail, the church's 4 properties have a taxable value of 5.59 million. So that's what he's done. He's sold their assets to the church, which of course he's in charge of the church. You know, he's not daft, is he? You know, he might be a twonk, but he's not stupid in that sense. So Tom Winslow, John Paul Miller's attorney in probate court, told the Post and Courier that the pastor should be in charge of his late wife's estate and not her family members. Because Micah Miller did not leave a will, he contends that her husband is entitled to represent her estate. I wonder if Micah, you know, says she didn't leave a will, but I wonder if she did it. You know, you just think with Micah, she would have been, I mean, maybe she was just so sort of, you know, lost in her mind that she didn't think of these logical things. But you would think that she did think of her family though, didn't she, about them finding, you know, phoning up to make sure that they knew where she was so they would find her body. Would she not have written a will? you know, and like, she may have written a will, but has he found it and destroyed it? You know what's good about in Spain when you make a will? You don't get to keep the will. Well, you get a copy of it, but the official copy goes to a central office in Spain. So when somebody dies, the lawyer or, you know, the gestor, they call them here, or you can do it, anyone can do it, gets in touch with the central office to see if and you give the NIE number, which is like a national insurance number of the person, and they look up if there's a will registered there. And if someone's made a will, it doesn't matter if people destroy the copy or, you know, there's a copy lodged in the official sort of central office. So you couldn't burn somebody's will or, you know, find someone's will and destroy it. It wouldn't matter if you did that, because there'd still be a copy of it in the central official registry. And I think it's a good idea, that, because the problem is when, you know, even in the UK as well, it's the same, isn't it? You can write a will, you know, but if somebody found that will and they weren't happy with what you put in it, they could destroy it. And nobody, unless you had registered it with your lawyer, but a lot of people don't do that because it costs a lot of money, I suppose. You know, I mean, you know, some of you watching will know better than me how it works in the UK. What do people do? Do they go to us? Do ordinary people go to a lawyer and make a will? I mean, or is that just something, you know, is that something just people with a lot of assets would do? What would people do in the UK? And what would they do in Australia, Kelly? Would they go? I'm just coming back to the chat to have a look. What do you do in the UK about wills? What do people do about wills? Just interesting to know. So that's what happens in Spain anyway. If you want to write, you could write a will kit. Yeah, so you can't do that in Spain. Can't get a will kit, it wouldn't count. It's got to be notarized. In Spain, a will would not count unless you went to the notary with it. You know, it has to be witnessed by a notary. There's nothing else would count. So yeah, he's a horrible person, isn't he? He's a horrible person. It's bad enough, as I say, that they've lost their family. They've lost Micah. The family have lost Micah, and then it's all going to be horrible, isn't it, with him? So I'm just taking my earring out because it's bugging me. It's irritating me here. Anyway, let's go back to what it says. So Sierra Francis accused. Oh, I've read that, haven't I? Yeah. So, because Micah Miller did not leave a will, he says that her husband is entitled to represent her estate. But how can that be when they're separated? And it was known that they're separated. You know, he couldn't. Anyway, so though heavy suspicion has been cast over Micah Miller's death, and the FBI and the US Attorney's Office have both been contacted about the case, officials in North Carolina say there has been no change regarding her cause of death. Our office has not been given anything with regards to this case other than what we've been told by the Sheriff's Department, that it was a suicide. Matt Scott, the district attorney for Robeson County, told the newspaper. The sheriff's office determined there was no criminal action done. There's not going to be any police case. You know, the only thing that could possibly happen in this case is if the family take out this unlawful, you know, they've got to think about it, haven't they? Is it worth doing? Are they going to get anywhere? Because, you know, Yeah, Papa, I know that they're still married, but even so, it doesn't seem right that he would get the right to deal with her estate. It's going to be a big mess, isn't it? It's probably going to go on for ages, and it's not cheap, is it? To, are the family, how are they going to afford the legal fees and things? Seems like he can access money. And if he was any sort of a nice person, he would come to some arrangement with the family, wouldn't he? If he was any sort of a decent person, instead of threatening to release, compromising photos of her or whatever things that he's threatening to do, if he was any sort of a nice person, he would, he would come to some arrangement. He would be, anyway, it's too much to expect him to be nice, isn't it? Because he's just not a nice person. So I'm sort of like, just, it's just pointless trying to expect someone like JPS to be nice and to be accommodating to the family. But he should be, he should be. Should have some, feeling for the family. I don't know. Anyway, and so going back to like the initial premise of this video is, I don't think he's a real pastor anyway. What can you just say you're a pastor and that's it? I'm a pastor. Where's his qualifications? I'm presuming he's got a license. And what was the other thing they said you had to have? There was a license and something else. Has he got those things? Okay, so I want to show you. So it's still up on the YouTube channel. Is still like all the solid. So the solid rock. If you want to subscribe on the YouTube channel, I haven't subscribed, but I have had a look at some of the videos because there's some nice videos of Micah on there. Now there's like this playlist, which is says 2024 parodies, it says 4 months ago. So she was still singing with him a couple of months ago. I mean, I wonder when they actually split up. So anyway, what they've done, these are their 4 principles, isn't it? We forgive, we give, we serve, and we respect. Well, that's a load of rubbish, isn't it? Because he doesn't respect Micah's memory. Anyway, they've got this playlist of parody songs. And these are songs that are like famous songs, but they've sort of converted them into like religious songs. So I'm going to play little bits of them. I don't think I'll be able to play the whole song because it'll be picked up by copyright. But Micah's got a nice voice. You could go on the YouTube channel is the Solid Rock Church. Now, of course, a lot of people have been on there and put comments. Beware of false prophets who come disguised as harmless sheep but are really vicious wolves. Matthew 7:15. That's a very good comment, I think. He literally is a wolf in sheep's clothing, to set himself up like that as this man of God. And then we know what he really was like. So let's just have a little listen.
We like to close our worship out with a parody where we take a secular song and rewrite it for Jesus and have a new parody for y'all today. It's an old Elvis song. How many of y'all like Elvis? He's still alive in heaven.
He's still alive in heaven, Elvis. Now, watching these, I don't think she doesn't look very happy at all, you know. And like some people have made comments that these 4 parody songs that were done recently, there's like a message in them. Look at Suspicious Minds, for God's sake.
Why can't you see what he wants you to be? If you just believe his words today.
Look, he looks like a devil there, doesn't he? Look at his ears. He reminds me of a devil. He's like a Saturn, isn't he? He's like a there's something very sort of sinister looking about him. Whereas Micah, I think, does look very sad on these videos. Anyway, I can only show a little bit because of the copyright, but they're there on YouTube if you want to see the whole song. So that's Suspicious Minds. Then we've got Michael Jackson's song.
We'd like to close our worship out with a parody. Today's a new parody. I did a Michael Jackson song for y'all today. Black or white. Here we go.
Looks a little bit happier on this one. Yeah, sorry, I can't play much of it because of the copyright, but you're getting the idea. And then Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me. And that, if you get a chance to watch that all the way through, it's very emotional because of knowing what's happened to Micah. This song is an emotional song anyway, isn't it? Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me.
We like to close our worship out with a parody where we take a secular song and rewrite it for Jesus.
Don't let the sun go down on me. 'Cause when I search myself, there's always someone else I see. Someone fragrant of your love.
Oh, I don't even want to start. I'd like to play that all the way through because it's so lovely and she sings it so nicely. It is nice to watch that. It is. Just can't believe that she was there singing with him. And there's him, the bloody. Oh. So that was 4 months ago. 4 months ago. Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me. So then it's I'm Still Standing, the next one.
We like to close our worship out with a parody where we take a secular song.
I'll never know what it's like. You look like one poured out midnight. The light that shines from you. And now I worship you. I didn't think that I would never sin. Look at me, I need you again. So love and hate.
So they've sort of changed the words to be more sort of like, that's why they call them parody songs. So they changed the words to be more sort of religious and that. Ay, poor Micah, poor woman. Oh, the Joker. Oh, say a little prayer, devil went down to Georgia. Oh, gosh. Living on a prayer. Yeah, let's have a look at the Joker.
So we like to close our worship out with a.
Oh, it's not mine for this one.
She speaks like a puppetess out loud.
Oh no, that's not as good as Micah. Oh, it's not Micah, that one. So anyway, so I've just found those songs emotional, let's say, especially Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me and, you know, I'm Still Standing, etc. Let's have a look at their YouTube channel. What else have they got on there? So the last video was 3 months ago. They had a guest speaker. got these, he does these series, doesn't he, John Paul? Honour your authority. I wonder whose authority that is. Prayer and fasting, and that those perfect gifts. But let me just put that down. Perfect gifts for imperfect people. 5 gifts of Jesus. You know, I'm not going to watch any of his sermons because I just can't stand them, to be honest. Let's have a look. What about shorts? Have we got any shorts? No, only one. Righteous will fall. Videos. Yeah. So yeah, there's lots on there if you want to watch it. If you want to watch Giant Prick Pastor giving his sermons, or the only thing that I'm interested in on there are the songs that Micah sings. They are nice to listen to, but all the rest of it, forget it. So prayer and fasting, fruit of the spirit, priorities. What are these reels? Sermon short. I can
Psalms
just
147:3 says, "The Lord heals. The Lord heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds, curing their pains and sorrows." I'm not on social media anymore, but when I was, one thing that made me so upset, one reason I got off, is because Christians post things on social media that are unbiblical. One is people say time heals all wounds. That's a lie from Satan. Time doesn't heal nothing. Time makes it worse. Yeah, you might have it buried and you don't really think about it as much, but because it wasn't, it's going to seep out and it's going to be a bigger problem than it was in the beginning. Time doesn't heal nothing. Time with Jesus.
his ears. He literally does look like some sort of a devil person.
Heals all wounds.
Anyway. I like that song. Burning in my soul. I won't subject you to my singing. It's not like Micah's singing. Hi, Heather. It's on everybody's nudges. Heather, he gets on all our nudges, whatever they are, but he definitely gets on your nudges. But unfortunately, I've nearly finished now. So, Popeye says Bible college standard is low and not academic. Yeah, I don't think he has studied anything though, but I don't know. Sorry, I'm just reading the chat now. So there's not much standard to become a pastor. It's not a clergy minister requiring a university degree, no bachelor degree. Yeah, I think John Paul, he just decided he was a pastor. You know, just decided he was. Anyway, so we'll have to see, won't we? We have to wait and see. What are the family going to do? Are they going to, I hope they do, decide to, you know, take out an unlawful death suit, but they'll be consulting lawyers and deciding have they got a chance of being successful, you know, because maybe they haven't got a chance of being successful. But it just seems so annoying that he can just get away with all that because, you know, maybe he's not done anything illegal, but he's done unethical things, hasn't he? You know, and as a pastor, it's especially wrong for him to do that. So it'd be interesting. So if 30 people turned up at his church last weekend, it'd be interesting to see how many people turn up at his church this weekend. It'd be nice to see his church go bust, wouldn't it, really? You know, it'd be nice to see it go bankrupt. But the problem is people forget, and someone like him, he's like, he's got the gift of the gab, hasn't he? I mean, he would never convince me. I watch him, he makes me feel sick. I can't bear his voice. I can't bear listening to him and don't believe a word he says. But for some people, they go and they're entranced by these people. You know, they're just completely taken in by them. There'll be people there at his congregation that will feel sorry for him. You know, like, oh, poor, you know, JPS, poor him. I did a JP, no, P. I keep getting the initials wrong. I'm rubbish with initials. PJP. How are you calling him? JLS. So, you know, always get initials wrong. I don't know why I even bother with initials. But yeah, a lot of his congregation will be feeling sorry for him because people get taken in. What about his new woman? Is she taken in by him? You know, she must be, mustn't she? She's sticking by him. So, hi, Annie. Look, people are coming in. Yeah, I suppose, yeah, he will be making some money on YouTube. How many yeah, he's got over 2,000 subscribers. So he'd be monetized. He'd be making some money on YouTube. They don't get loads and loads and loads of views, so he won't be making loads of money. You know, you have to meet you know, you have to get a lot of views to make anything decent money on YouTube, really. But he'd be making something, I suppose. Yeah, some of his sermons, look, 27,000 views, 8,000 views, 1.2 thousand views. So yeah, if he's getting like 27,000 views for it, then he will be earning a decent amount on there. Yeah. What did they put for the community posts? You know what? There's nothing on here that mentions Micah. You know, there's nothing to say, oh, we sadly lost Micah, you know, and, you know, some sort of tribute to her, or there's nothing, not even mentioned Micah on here or on the website. Nothing mentioned. But if you've got a prayer need, you can leave your prayer request and they'll have their prayer warriors pray for you. I'm just reading the community post now. So yeah, but nothing, not even not mention of Micah, not even the memorial service is not here on the YouTube channel. So it's like Micah never existed, but she's still on the website as his wife. So her videos are still on there of her singing and everything, but there was no mention of what's happened to her. Surprised he hasn't put the nude pictures of her up on there. But he'd be trying to sell them to, he'd be trying to sell those nude pictures to anyone who'll pay him any money for them, I suppose. Okay, so I'm going to go and have some toast and then I'm going to go to bed. I'm tired because it's 20 to 12 here, you know, turn into a pumpkin at midnight. But I'll be back on tomorrow 100%, laughing at Rishi again, probably Rishi Sunak, or you know, that I'll be doing. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do tomorrow, but I will definitely be on at some point tomorrow. Because it's Sunday, isn't it? Maybe we should do a Sunday worship. Send your prayer requests in, and I'll do a sermon. Ah, dear. Oh, Heather, that's the problem when you go on holiday. It's those aeroplanes. I tell you, you go on an aeroplane, you know you're going to catch something nasty. I'm just recovering from my cold. But anyway, night all. Prayers for Micah, isn't it? Candles and prayers for Micah. And let's hope I mean, I do believe in karma, so one way or another, this twonk is going to get his comeuppance, but I just hope we get to see what happens to him. Okay, so remember to live and love wisely, carefully. Any of you going to church tomorrow? Maybe some of you are going to church. I quite like churches. I've got, but I like the old-fashioned churches. I don't really like those modern churches. I find churches very nice sort of places to sit in, even though I'm not a religious person. When you sit in a church, I do like the feeling of peace that you get in a church. But anyway, so take care. I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, as always, may your gods go with you. Night, night.